Okay, welcome back. This week we're taking a look at worm one again. As a reminder, this is the bin with a few more worms, and so we feed them a little bit more because they can get through it. All right, let's take their blanket off. And we see all these fresh castings right up at the top. These are beautiful. And overall, the bin smells great, so we don't have any big concerns here. Fresh castings, tons of worms. This is always a sign the worms are thriving and doing well, is when you see them, they got their heads through each other's little rings. So, good stuff so far. I'm going to start by fluffing up the finished castings that are a little bit drier over on this side. So I'm just going to reach in and pull those out. These are a little bit drier than the rest of the bin, and you can see there's less cardboard and there's no vegetable scraps or anything. Just going down here, making sure everything stays oxygenated. It's got plenty of oxygen, doesn't go anaerobic. Broken up, and this is pretty much my pile that's ready to harvest at any time. There are some worms in here, but if I harvest here, I don't have to worry about decimating my worm bin population. So this is always a great little nutrition pile for my garden. So it's nice to have this. Okay, that looks great. Next, we're gonna move on to the stuff we fed a little over a month ago. And this stuff does stay moisturized, so you see a lot more worms in here. I'm going to take any of these pieces of skin, rake them up over here. The worms don't seem too interested in that. Must just be too thick for them. It'll break down eventually, but it'll take a while. Yeah, this has the main difference between this and what I just looked at, even though they both don't have much food in them, is that this is much more moist. So the worms do like to hang out here, which is the entire point of letting the far end dry out. I let it dry out because I don't have that blanket on top of it. By letting it dry out just a skosh, all the worms leave there, which makes it way easier to harvest. But because this one's ready to go over to the finished side, I do pull anything out that I want to give the worms a little bit longer to go over, and I throw it kind of to the side. In this case, it's mostly that skin. I could probably just take all that out and throw it out if I was super concerned about these worms getting through here super efficiently, because they don't, like I said, they really don't seem all that interested in eating this. Okay, put a bunch of worms in there. All right, let's move on to some of the areas that we fed more recently. So this is where we start seeing a good amount of worms. Yeah, look at them. Whew. Let me pull up another big piece. Yeah. This is just, there's food here, there's fresh bedding here. This is where they like to be. Happy, happy worms. So this is still a little dry. Apple core is still there. I'm seeing bunches of fresh castings in here too. not see a whole lot of leftover food. All right, let me get the camera fixed there. Sorry about that. All right, looks pretty good. All right, let's feed some of the new stuff. All right, as always, start with a little bit of the ground up cardboard bedding. This week we have a little bit of newspaper mixed in too. Newspaper is made with soy-based ink because the paper is so light, so it's good to put in here too. Then we take our week's coffee grounds. We get them in there. Make sure that's all broken up, spread out throughout the bedding. This is sort of our like base level of feeding that we always do. It's a great way of composting coffee grounds. We do have to break them up because if I leave them as a puck, it takes a lot longer for them to get to it. So I'm spreading that in, adding it in so they have a place to eat and stay. It's like a little warm bed and breakfast in there. And then we'll add in our weeks. This is the kitchen scraps. We got a little bit of extra. We got some old tatsoi that we pulled out of the garden. We added that in here too. So we have a whole bunch for them to eat. Let me try mixing in some of this so that it's not all clumped up together, because if it is, it can make it a little bit harder for the worms to get to. So there's sort of multiple layers of it going on. There we go. Now the fresh stuff is a little bit mounted higher than some of the rest, but it will break it down considerably in the next 2 weeks while I'm waiting to check on it. That's about all. Let me cover them up so they stay nice and warm and active. And we'll check on them in another 2 weeks. I'll see you then. Bye.